So this is our standard ruler foot. This comes in our 3 or 4 piece hopping foot set. And you can see it has that nice tall base, 1/2 inch circle, and very, very simple construction. Now we're going to compare it to our perfect ruler kit foot. And let's see, size wise, it's the exact same size. So this has a 1/2 inch base. Needle in center position means that you get a 1/4 inch on all sides, but this one has this cool swivel feature. It has a ball bearing in there. You see how that spins? So every once in a while, when I'm pressing too hard on my ruler against the foot, I can end up locking the ruler in place and it doesn't want to move smoothly. So this ball bearing really takes care of that. I can't wait to give this a try. That's going to give you a nice smooth movement so that you can put firm pressure on your ruler against your ruler foot, and the rolling action is still going to allow you to move, to be able to move the machine. The issue with long arm quilting is we're putting pressure down on our ruler base underneath the needle, and if we put too much pressure we can kind of lock everything up. So I really like this. I think this is going to be an interesting new addition. We've kind of combined methods from the TrueCut system, kind of the idea behind locking your rotary cutter against the TrueCut ruler, and we've kind of taken this to ruler quilting. So this particular foot, you see that this black piece swivels around. We've got that ball bearing action again, and it has these little guides. So this actually locks. I hope you can see how that connects and kind of locks in. It's not like a super firm attachment for this one, but it does lock in place and connect to keep the ruler specifically spaced against that foot. And because it has that little extending line, you can really see exactly where you are on the ruler. That's really neat. Now this one's super cool, because not only have you have a much more intense locking system, like once this locks in place, it does not move. Like those two things are connected together, and it's spring loaded. There's actually, you see that little spring there on the bottom? Isn't that cool? And so it tilts up to lock in place against that ruler. I'm trying to do this while looking at the camera, guys, so that's why I'm a little bit flubby. And then it also rotates, so that as you're going around, you can keep the ruler and the foot locked together and just rotate around your quilt. So it's one thing to talk about it, it's one thing to look at it, but it's another thing to quilt with it. So let's get this on the machine and see how it works with ruler quilting. All right, so I have this attached, my needle's in the right position. I would say if there's anything that can kind of bug me about this just right out of the gate, it's that I cannot see exactly where my needle is. So that's going to be a downside to using this particular foot. I like the visibility of the original foot simply because I can see the needle in the center. But look how nicely this connects and locks in to that ruler. I can't move this. I mean, I can wiggle it a little bit, but that's about it. And let's see how it quilts. So all I have to do is just pull it towards me. The ruler and the foot are staying connected together. So hit stop, roll forward, and see how nicely that ruler just slides and glides right within that channel. That's really cool. So I'll come down here and you might be thinking, okay, well then you're gonna have to disconnect the ruler and shift things around. And no, I won't, because I can just use that rotating, that little rotating mechanism. Isn't that neat? Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so I need to go up this way, and obviously I need to back up just a little bit. So we'll back up a little bit. The thing is, the idea is that you are using, let me rotate this around. There's a little indicator right here that the idea is that you're using that in order to keep things lined up. And yeah, and then there's a little screw here. I'm finding that that's actually what I'm visually lining up more, because that's what I can see. So I don't know. I mean, stitch on down, you can see my stitching is lining up with the edge of that. This is just a printed panel that I was playing around with. So it's not, you know, this is not like stitching in the ditch. I'm not exactly in or out. I'm just stitching along printed fabric. But what I really do like, and this is definitely speeding me up, is the fact that I can just slide the ruler down so quick, and I don't feel the need to turn off the machine. You know, usually I'm clicking on and off. But so long as I keep that ruler, you know, just shifting downward, I don't have to turn the machine off. I really feel like I can just keep on stitching. So I do think that this is going to speed me up overall when it comes to echo ditching, stitching the ditch, that kind of thing. Now that we tried out this base, let's switch to another one and see how it works. All right, so let's give this a try, lining up that foot. What I like about this one, I can say I can see the edge of the foot here, and I'm echo ditching now across my panel, so I can see the edge of the foot. I kind of like that. Now I can't see the needle all that well, but I like being able to see the edge of the foot. Now the idea behind this one is like having a measuring tool. So here, if I line up, let's say that 2 mark right here with that little line on my fabric, let's see if that kind of helps me line things up. I'd say, yeah, that kind of is nice. Yeah, let's see if I can do the same speed where I can move the ruler without turning off the machine. And it doesn't lock, I can just tell you just from the feel of it, it doesn't lock quite that securely. You know, it's nice to have that attachment, you know, to be able to see that, and that straight edge is kind of interesting too, but it's not locking in the exact same way that it did before. So there we go. So this is the standard ruler foot with that ball bearing base. And let's just experiment with this with my ditcher ruler and see how this still locks in. It's still that 1/2 inch ruler base, which means that it's going to work with any quilting rulers that are designed to work that way. And I am really attached to my ditcher ruler because it gives me those nice lines, so that way I can line up and be exactly 1/4 inch from that marking on that fabric and be able to stitch precisely. So here I'm going to line up so that way my needle lands right there. And I can say a little bit of difference in the form that I cannot see my needle as well, but I do feel a difference. I'm going to press really, really firmly on the fabric so I can feel that pressure coming down on the ruler base, yet it's not locking it up. I can still move my machine. I can still move because the ruler base, the ruler foot has that roller on it. So I find that really interesting. I think that this is going to be something I'm going to experiment around with and just keep playing with it. You know, it's easy to get into a habit of using the same things, same materials, same foot, and it's important to try new things and experiment and just see what works best for you. I can say I can see the needle. I can see where I'm landing if I get up on my tippy toes. So I can look down into the foot if I'm wanting that precision, but really this is teaching me to use the lines etched on my ruler and just trust that those lines are going to guide me. And that's working out really well. I'd say that's really precise. That's probably more precise than I could get with the other ruler foot, and that's just simply because I'm using the lines on the ruler and I'm putting a lot more pressure down, and I can do that now because I've got that ball bearing that's attaching and connecting and allowing the foot to move with firm pressure against the ruler. I hope that makes sense. There's a lot of like little nuances here, but it's definitely something that's interesting, and I'm definitely intrigued to give this more of a try. So now I'm going to echo ditch. So this is lining up the ruler right with that line of stitching I just did. Pull it on down. Again, I'm putting firm pressure on that ruler on the quilt so it doesn't shift. And I like being able to see the edges of my ruler foot so that way I can easily line that up. Get those thread tails out of the way and roll over. So it really is up to you. If you are wanting to get into ruler quilting and you have not picked up either of our foot sets, so it's going to be entirely up to you which one you prefer. I do have another video on how to use all of the different feet that come in our hopping foot sets. You get a micro stippling foot, you get an open toe foot, and you get a ruler foot. So it's up to you which one you want to go with. Our ruler feet are only available in our foot kits. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, learning more about our Quilt Perfect ruler quilting kit, all of these fun bases, and the TrueCut ruler that came with it. So this has been a lot of fun. I'm definitely planning on leaving this foot attached to my long arm and giving it a much bigger spin, really putting it through its paces, learning more about it. So if you'd like to pick up your Quilt Perfect ruler foot set, come and check it out at leahday.com/perfectruler. Until next time, let's go quilt.